All right, what's up, everyone? So, as you can see by the title, today we're going to be talking about living with your parents. Now, this is an interesting topic. There's a lot of pros and cons that come along with living with your parents. A lot of people go away to school, they end up coming back, or I should say, finishing up school, and they really don't want to move back in with their parents. They get used to the idea of living out on their own, or at least with roommates. Without their parents being there, and then adjusting back into that setting of living at your parents' house. It can be a big adjustment, but it's the most realistic path right now for a lot of people, just because things are expensive. It's tough to get out of college, or even if you just graduate high school and you start working to have your own place. It's pretty expensive right now, honestly. So I want to discuss the idea of living with your parents, kind of go through some of the pros and cons, and kind of give you my thoughts on it. Just my personal opinion, and kind of let you know what I did as far as living with my parents, how long I lived with them, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So some of the good things that come along with living with your parents is just the affordability, man. Like if you're living with your parents, chances are your rent is probably going to be a lot cheaper than if you were out living on your own. Now, this doesn't apply to everyone. I know everyone's situation is different, but most of the time, living at home is going to be the more responsible option, financially speaking. Even if your parents charge you rent, it's probably going to be a fraction of what you'd be paying, for an apartment elsewhere. And buying a home nowadays is just, it's basically impossible for most people in their 20s, unless you make a whole lot of money, or you're really good at saving and investing, or you get a really good deal. It's difficult to be able to buy a home nowadays. So I say all that to say that you should take advantage of the opportunity that's given to you to live at home. Find an apartment for $2,000 a month versus paying your parents $500 or $750, or maybe even $1,000, or if you're really lucky, paying no rent at all. It's a huge opportunity for you to be able to target a lot of your financial goals while you're young and in your 20s. So instead of paying that money towards rent, you could use that money to pay down debt, whether it's credit cards or a car loan or student loans or whatever other kind of debts you may have. If you have personal loans, if you don't have any debt, you can use that money to save up for a down payment on a house, or maybe you can use that money to start investing to build sort of a financial foundation for the rest of your life. So this opportunity that you have, if you live with your parents and you don't pay rent, or you pay a small amount of rent compared to the average market rent in your area, you got to take advantage of this, man. It's a huge opportunity. You can't, don't let this time slip by and without taking advantage of it. You should be working as much as possible, and any money you would be putting towards rent, you should set that aside, use it for paying down debt or investing, saving, whatever it is you want to do, whatever financial goals you have in mind right now. Now, obviously that's the main pro of living at home. There's also cons associated with it, right? As we become adults, we want to be out on our own and do our own thing, be responsible for ourselves, kind of follow our own rules. We don't want to have to live by the rules of our parents. But that's kind of just the price you pay of living at home. Whether you want to go out late and your parents give you a hard time about coming in at 3 a.m, or, maybe you want to bring back a girl and you can't because your parents aren't down with that. Whatever the case may be, it's just there's restrictions that come along with living at home under your parents' roof that really suck for someone in their 20s, especially just because, again, you're at that age where you're really an adult now. You're trying to be self-sufficient and responsible and out on your own, but you also want to kind of have freedom to do what you want with your time. And a lot of that is it's not possible when you're living at home with your parents. So the ultimate decision is, do you want to live at home and save money and kind of start building a financial future that's really going to set you apart from other people? Or do you want to just get out and kind of do your own thing and kind of take that leap into adulthood of working on your own, living on your own, doing everything on your own, and being totally self-sufficient. Um, in my opinion, what do I think the smart decision is? Again, everyone's situation is different, but in my opinion, I think, especially after high school, but even after college, you should take a couple years just to live at home. And it's like, take those years, work hard, save your money as much as possible, pay down your debt. That way, when you do finally make the decision to move out, you're in a much better position, man. If you just graduate college and let's say you have like 50 grand in student loans, and that's on the lower end, like some of these people are graduating with 100,000 plus in student loans, and they got a car loan that they're paying for. And then if you throw rent and utilities and insurance and all that other stuff on top of it, it's like you're just drowning in bills. So if you can live at home for even just a year, the longer the better. But even just a year, just to kind of get yourself a little better situated, I think that's the smart move, man, because it's like getting out on your own too fast. You could end up drowning in bills and you could just never end up getting caught up. And then the rest of your life, you're just sitting in this constant circle of bills and then paycheck and then bills and then paycheck because you never get out of debt and you never get yourself situated properly to be able to kind of sustain your life that you want to live. But if you could just sacrifice a couple years when you're in your early 20s, it'll really catapult you forward financially. And honestly, like it's the perfect time to do it. Like in your early 20s, even in your mid 20s, you don't have too many responsibilities. Most people don't have kids. Most people aren't married at that time if they are, or they're in a relationship. But if you're upfront with your girlfriend, or if any girls listen to this, your boyfriend, or your partner in general, and you tell them, I want to stay at home. I want to save up some money and kind of put myself in a better position financially. If they really care about you and they want what's best for you, they're going to understand that. They're not going to pressure you into moving out. If you're upfront and honest with them, and if they do, then they might not be the right person for you. But that's besides the point. So moral of the story is, take advantage of your time living at home, especially if your bills are lower as a result of living at home, especially with rent and utilities and all that kind of stuff. I was so fortunate. My parents and honestly my family in general, like they helped me out so much, man. My parents with providing food and shelter and just so many other things, and giving me opportunities that I would never have been able to take advantage of without them. They just helped me set my life up so much better. And I can't thank them enough. And I hope to repay them one day, but I like to give myself some credit too, because I recognized this opportunity and I took advantage of it. I worked 2 jobs, sometimes even 3 jobs, paid off all my student loans, stacked up some bread, and then finally moved out in my mid 20s now. But up until now, I was living at home, saving up, taking advantage of low expenses. And it was definitely the right decision. I may have missed out on some opportunities or some other life experiences that I may have gotten if I did move out earlier. But you know what? Life's a game of decisions. You gotta make a decision and live with the outcome. So I'm happy with my decision to stay at home for a few years after college and really save up, pay off my debt. And now I'm much more comfortable living out on my own. And I think that's what, most people should do as well. If I had to give an overall opinion, I would say live at home for at least a year, sometimes upwards of 2, 3, even 4 years, man. Like there's no rush to move out and just start your life. Like if you're comfortable living at home, you got a good, healthy family situation that you're okay with being in, then take advantage of that, man. And honestly, family's the most important thing there is. Like value that time around your family, because at the end of the day, when you move out, you're not gonna be around them as much anymore. Those experiences and those memories aren't going to be generated as often as they were when you were living with everyone. So just enjoy it, take advantage of it, make the most of it, and you'll be so much better off in the future. So yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on living with your parents. I think it's a good idea, but again, to each their own. Everyone has the right to make their own decision and do their own thing, and everyone's situation is different. But yeah, I chose to take advantage of it, and it's working out for me. So that's my opinion on that. So that's it for today. If you guys like this video, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.